Hello and welcome to the X Factory fans and family out there. This is another Paul Sinclair voiceover video. For this week's video, we're going back to the Dirt Heaven corn roast race that just happened. And we're going to watch X Factory team driver Ryan Derenne wheel my SCX-60CF. Chazz had taken my truck up there with me, and Ryan spent the Friday practice day on his buggy and truck, and then decided the day of the race that he was going to throw a receiver in and throw it down for round one. So without further ado, let's see how it goes. I believe, and Ryan can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that this was the first time he had ever driven short course. At least on the clock. Chazz, you need to move your finger. There we go. But I don't think Ryan had ever owned or raced even a Slash or an SC10. He just focused on kind of the core vehicles. So things get a little sideways the first trip down the straightaway, but this is his first time driving a short bus. So doing okay with it, at least on the opening lap. I know he didn't get any practice with it. This was his first time with a short course at this track, or at this race. So yeah, we're following along, and he's putting in a pretty good opening lap there. Oh, hung it up on the pipe, getting on the straightaway. I mean, I guess I would say if for anybody, and I mean this is just kind of expected, if you're driving a new car or someone else's car, especially in a race, you know, you just want to kind of take it easy. First few laps, shake it out, see what it can do. Nice trip through that chicane there. Looking all right. Now, one thing that jumps out at me watching this video, and I know it jumped out at Ryan too, is that the rear end of this truck is just too soft for this layout, this track, this dirt, whatever the combination is. I believe the setup is from the Short Course Nationals at RC Madness, but there at the end of the straightaway you see when he carried a good amount of speed in, the whole rear end of the truck just dumped over before the truck could even really enter the corner. And that causes the truck to want to spin, to kind of overload that outside tire, and it either wants to flip or spin. And it's very hard to hold on to as a driver. You end up, when your truck feels like this, you end up either braking way early and entering the turn much slower, little short course racing action from a back marker there, or you have to be really on edge and just ready to catch that slide, to counter steer at the drop of a hat. And you know, it's definitely not helping him. Ryan, I mean, like I said, Ryan noticed that too, and he actually sent me a text message. And his solution for round two was to move the rear shock out on the rear control arm. So I think he went from the second hole, which was my normal setup, to out to the third hole on the arm. There was a nice job catching it through the end of the straightaway. What that does is it's going to make the rear of the truck mechanically stiffer. You're giving the shock absorber a bigger lever on the rear suspension, so it's going to resist roll better, it's going to resist compression, and effectively you kind of get a stiffer spring rate. Ryan said it worked pretty well for him, and he was really happy with the truck in round two. I know he made the main and was running fairly well in the main when he broke a rear control arm. But watching the video now, you know, all I had to go on was Ryan's message, and I kind of said, you know, sounds good to me, have at it. But watching the video here, I think what I would have done had I been racing the truck here is simply to gone up 5 weight in the rear shock absorber, so 5 weight stiffer. And I say that because when you changing your shock position on the control arm, front and back, this holds for all cars, but it's a pretty big change overall. You're messing with a lot of stuff when you change your shock like that. Like I said, you're changing the mechanical advantage the shock has on the arm, which changes your effective spring rate, and it changes your piston speed, how fast the shock is going to compress as the suspension moves through its travel. Also, unless you properly change the length and limiting of your shock, you're going to change the amount of rear droop in the truck. So I find that simply changing the rear oil is probably what I would have done, because it's very easy. You just pop these shocks off, empty them out, pour in the oil you want. Little spin out on the straightaway again. Having some trouble going straight, but you just pop the shocks off, put in the oil you want, and put them back on. And the reason I would recommend that changing the shock oil rather than changing the position is, like I said, it's a much simpler change. You're not messing with quite as much of the suspension. And I really like the way the truck is jumping. It's got a great attitude in the air. That J-Concepts Illusion body is helping it keep prevent that parachute effect that short courses are known for. But I think the suspension, it's actually handling the bumps and the ridges really well. So I don't think a stiffer spring or a stiffer shock action is necessary. I just want to slow that shock action down in the corners. I want to slow that roll down, and the thicker shock oil would do that for me. So I'm not trying to say that moving the shock out on the arm was the wrong move. I mean, this is racing. There are a million different ways to achieve what you want. It's just all about the trade-offs. And hopefully I can kind of present what one of our team drivers did, and then maybe what I would have done with the truck, and what the differences in the results would have been. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Pretty quick video, but yeah, we'll see you next time.